Hello everyone, I'm GloryHoundd and this is
DrGloryHogg.
And today we're going to be reviewing Victorian Masterminds. This is by Cool Mini or Not, and it lasts for about 60 minutes for 2 to 4 players and ages 14 plus on that. So
that's accurate.
That is accurate. It's very accurate. So what did you think about this game, DrGloryHogg? Now, you know what? I'm a very hardcore strategic player, and then you're more of an omni gamer, where you pretty much like everything. So you can always take that into account with
She's already losing her pieces.
I lost my piece.
No, there's plenty of games I hate.
Yeah.
But
that's a good way to start it.
Well, I mean, you're like, oh yeah, you play all games. No, there's lots of games I hate. But this is a game that's the theme is very important.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely an Ameritasher. I like theme. I think theme is almost the most important thing. As long as the gameplay doesn't just suck, theme is really important for me. I don't want to just be pushing square cubes around a board because the game tells me I should.
Right. So you don't like a lot of Euro games because of that, they become dry and the board doesn't look pretty and everything, but everything looks so pretty about this game. So this was kind of maybe a win-win for you?
Yes.
Yes. You're so articulate right now. Wow.
I know. I'm really good at this.
I think that this game is a really excellent game in the fact that you have a very simplistic way to put down your pieces, and you just put down a piece and then your turn is over. And then you can add to it by what you do in the game, whether it's building your machine up to kind of build a point system where you're getting a lot of points or a lot of firepower to get buildings to get points, and then you're able to take a look at what other people have with their tokens being out and stuff, and kind of strategically plan, all right, I'm going to place this over here, and then I'm going to do this. And so for me, Cool is me for being that person who likes planning ahead and having all of that depth in a game, and then they made it really simplistic.
Well, it seems when you first get the game, the rules can seem a little overwhelming, but we've played it with more non-gamers and then more hardcore gamers and stuff, and within 2 rounds, everyone pretty much has an idea of what's going on. So it seems like a lot of information at first, but once you start actually doing it, you're like, oh, this is pretty easy. And then all the gameplay comes out as you're actually playing it. I know one of my favorite things to do is to put down the token that stops you guys from getting your stuff.
I know, you stopping everybody, shutting everyone down.
You guys were so paranoid that you guys, because I would put my guy down first on every row, so they just knew it was out there somewhere, always lurking.
Right, and I purposely wouldn't go to those places because I'm nope, somebody else is going to go there
gonna
first.
Negate somebody.
Because I don't want to be negated, because that's the worst thing that can happen, because it takes a part of your turn away whenever you're doing that,
Yeah, I kind of like negating you guys.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah, I mean, that is a good point. I mean, you really have to pay attention to what's out and what's been played to kind of know what areas are safe, what areas can potentially not be safe. And I found with this game, the first couple times I played it, I thought I had the definitive victory path was to build your machine. And then I found out I was losing because that wasn't, even though I was ending the game, that's not the only way to win. It's not necessarily even the best way to win. You have to be very careful how you build a machine, how quickly you build it, which parts you build, and then you got to make sure you're just not falling behind in points by taking buildings or getting the books or using your scientists to get extra placements and stuff like that. So if you're not careful, you can end the game and still lose.
That's very true. Especially with the buildings, you can work really hard to keep your firepower up and then keep stealing buildings and stuff. And then you might just negate yourself because you're working so hard on getting firepower and building more of that throughout the game, trying to stay ahead of everybody with that you end up losing out on points from collecting books or building up your machine or collecting cards. And so
you can definitely, if you over focus, you're just going to lose.
You have to maximize what you're doing. Yeah, what you're doing and how the other players are playing. If the other players are just crazy going for buildings,
there's a certain point where you just cut.
You're just I'm done.
You're done.
I can't chase this anymore.
Exactly. You can't go for it anymore. So you just kind of go,
I'll just collect everything else.
I'll go books or cards or, yeah, you kind of have to switch up your strategy a lot, definitely.
Right. So I really liked that part of it because that added so much depth to it, because there's different ways to pull out the points wins in the end of this. It's such a simplistic turn. Every turn can go so fast.
Yeah, because you're just placing one guy.
You're just placing one token, and then when a stack
But that's where all the strategy is where you place it.
I know, and I love that.
And when you place it, because you want to make sure that it flips at just the right time, so that this flips and then this one flips, so that you get to where you're like, okay, I get that piece, which then unlocks that guy, which then unlocks it, so now I can get that. And if it goes the other way, or you miscalculate where you think people are going to go, you can really set yourself back. So
absolutely, I just really enjoyed like the totality of this game. I don't really get bored playing it, and it's an hour's worth of playtime, and it doesn't feel like an hour at all. Like,
no, you usually feel like you wish you could get a couple more turns in.
Right? At the end, you're always like, oh, I could have done like that one thing. Could have gotten like 5 more points. Like, oh, why did it end so early?
Well, yeah, and then definitely the theme is really important to me. I feel like you're playing
Yes.
like Despicable Me, where you're running around, stealing buildings, you know, capturing the moon, if you will. You know, using scientists to, I mean, you know, sacrificing scientists to build your evil machine, and then trying to take over the world.
They're taking their retirement early, okay?
I
They're taking their
sacrificed mine.
retirement early.
I'm not gonna lie. Plus, I mean, all the pieces are, I mean, obviously it's really good quality. All the buildings look really good. You can do this the whole time and drive everyone mad while you're playing. So, like, that's a big bonus. Just everything about it is really cool, like with the theme and the way it's all put together. And then it has a lot more depth hiding underneath it than you expect. And it ends up actually being a pretty easy teach once you get going.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, after those first couple of turns, when everybody just kind of figures out, oh my gosh, I just got filled with all this information, but it's not like crucial at this time. Like, I just need to focus on my turn, where I'm going. And then that first playthrough, you're like, yeah, okay, I got this game. Like, this is good. I like this.
It's all iconography too. Once the iconography is explained, you never have to look at the rulebook again.
No.
Like, I've never had to go look up like frequently asked questions or anything. Like, once you understand what the icons mean, like that's a bolt, that's a plate, that's a scientist.
Yeah.
You're kind of good. Like, you really don't need to look anything up. You don't need to be digging through the rulebook for an hour trying to figure stuff out. I
would say that the only issues that we've had is the fact that
I'm too good at it.
I don't feel 2-player is really the way to go with this.
Yeah, I feel like you almost need to make some kind of a house rule 2-player. Maybe play like both factions, like play yellow and red, and while the other person plays blue and green or something.
You know, there's 5 places to go on this board, and you have 5 tokens. So you could essentially put a token on each, like each of you, and you wouldn't trigger anything. Like,
which we had situations where like I had to pretty much put all 3 tokens just to trigger my own stuff.
Right, exactly. And that's what I don't like in a 2-player game with this, is the fact that a lot of times you were just triggering your own things, and it's like you were over there doing your thing.
Yeah, my whole own stack.
I was over here doing my thing, and then we didn't really interrupt each other in what we were doing. Where if you play the 3, and especially a 4-player game, every token you place down makes such a difference in what's happening, and you really, really have to watch the board and what people are doing. As opposed to that 2-player game, I mean, you just end up building your own engine and doing your own thing. You're like, yay, we finished, you know?
The only, I mean, that was the thing I liked the least about it, was playing it 2-player. But I've liked it at every other player count, and we played it with 8-year-olds, we've played it with like 65-year-olds, we've played it, like I said, with other people that are in the gaming industry, and we've just played it with people that, I mean, they have like 4 games in their closet, so and everyone's liked it. It's actually been the one that everyone's kind of voted as like their #1 game of the night. So.
Absolutely, it's such an impressive game because of the pieces, and then when they get to play it, the fun theme and everything. It's excellent with that.
And it's good at price point too. It's not a $100 cool mini or not game.
No, I think it's like $50 or something.
I think it's less even.
No, I think it was 50. I'll have to look it up later. Sure. I'll have to look it up later. Yeah, so all good things. The other, I guess, little like nitpick thing that I had was the fact that, and this is only like once you learn the cards, then you just know that that's the case. Some of the cards on here, people end up getting confused about the slash symbol on it. It's like either this building or this building.
Right, not both.
Or this also has slashes in between all of the values for the machine parts and stuff. So you really have to watch whether it's like this and this machine part, or if it's one of these machine parts. Like, this is a one of these machine part tokens.
The way I always explain it, though, I think the easy way to decipher it is if it's lower point value card, it's gonna be either like, you know, you can have this piece or this piece or this piece in order to trigger it. If it's the higher value card, it's gonna want you to have one of each.
Right.
But
that's a good discerning like part between it and everything. But I just think that is probably the hardest thing to pick up, is just looking at those cards and going, oh, okay, this one means if I have +3 firepower, then I can get this card, you know? Because they don't explain that iconography in the book. Like, they don't explain the cards specifically in the book, so you're just kind of like left for, okay, well, I think it's this. But I'm sure that they have like a frequently asked questions thing up on their thing.
As long as I get to build something called the Kraken, I don't really care.
Names are fantastic too.
Yeah.
The names are fantastic.
And every ship has its own little variability too, so they're all different.
Yeah, they're all little.
So when you're playing your
a little
engineer
bit different.
piece, they're not all the same. And you can upgrade your engineer so that instead of just getting one thing that's different, you get 3 bonuses.
And the engineering portion was really interesting as well because that almost makes it where you go in a certain direction.
Yeah,
you know?
I found that if my engineer gets shut down with the negate token, it really hurts. Like, you lose some serious
Especially
points.
if you've built it up a bunch and stuff, yeah. And just having the variability in the engineer abilities and stuff, you know, one might do codexes, so you're like, all right, I'm going to hurry up and get all these codexes up, and then open it up so I can start looking at my tokens, and you kind of focus on that because it's just like an easy route to go, you know? And that really varies kind of gameplay and how people are interacting in the game.
Right, and some of them are going to help you build your engine faster, help you build your actual machine faster, your contraption.
Right, or some are going to make you steal buildings faster,
right,
you know?
so you end up just kind of changing what you do. Like, if you're able to steal buildings with your engineer, you don't have to focus on your firepower the same way, like, necessarily.
Yeah.
And if it's helping you build your engine, you almost need to slow down and not get a bunch of nuts and bolts from other locations because it's going to kind of almost build itself every time your engineer goes off.
Right. Overall, though, this was a really solid game.
On
every front. There's not been one person that I've played it with that haven't liked it, really.
It's probably,
that I can think of.
It's definitely in the top 5 as far as games we've played since we've got it. Like, just multiple plays with multiple people over and over and over again. And I think another thing to kind of mention is that even with newer players, the point spread for the victory track usually is pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see where some games you get where like somebody might win by 40 points or 50 points. It's usually within 5 to 10 points, like from top to bottom. So even when you lose, you're like, man, I could have won if I would have focused on this, or if I would have picked up a few more buildings, or if I wouldn't have let her always get the buildings right before me, that would have made all the difference.
Right.
So it's always really close. So you feel like you're in it.
Right. You're in it to win it.
So I like it.
Well, we're going to go ahead and...
It's all right.
We're going to go ahead and get a review also from somebody who is 8 that has played it, so you can kind of get a kid's idea of this, as well as a person who is not a gamer. So they'll kind of give you a full review on this. All right, well, we'll see you in a minute. All right, and now we're back with the GloryBear, who just finished playing Victorian Masterminds. So what did you think of the game?
I thought it was good.
Yeah, you thought it was good?
Uh-huh.
What was your favorite part?
I liked negating.
You liked negating everybody. Oh, what made you like negating so much? Was it crushing everybody's spirits at the table?
Yeah.
All right. Did you feel like it was kind of easy to learn?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you picked it up pretty fast. Did you feel like whenever you were getting the instructions explained to you that it was easy to understand?
Yeah, I think it was kind of easy to learn.
Easy to learn, okay. If there was another game that you can think of that you would compare this to, like, can you think of anything? No? No?
Rampage?
Okay. Rampage? Okay. And so would you play this again?
Yeah.
And would you play it with your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd be able to teach them pretty easily?
Yeah.
I know you set it up tonight and you did really well setting it up. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us and letting us know how you liked the game, okay? All right. All right, I'm here with Marie from Out in the Town with Marie, who does a local blog in our area in Phoenix, and she kind of visits different places and everything, and I always get to rope her into playing games with me. I don't think that you usually play a bunch of games, at least originally I don't feel like you played a bunch of games, and you've kind of gotten introduced to some stuff, and I feel like you've slowly started coming over to the dark side.
Yes, I have. I have enjoyed a lot of the games that I've learned. Surprisingly, because I'm into the old, Monopolies and Scrabbles and that kind of thing. And a lot of the games that I've been introduced to have been very interesting.
Yeah. They've come a long way, right?
Oh my goodness.
They've come so far.
And they're a lot of fun. They're in many ways, they could be very easy yet strategic at the same time.
Yeah, I love that.
And that I'm not a mastermind at strategic games, but it makes it easy for me to be able to play those games in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And this was one of the games that I kind of thought fit all of those things. Was like, okay, this one's easy to learn, but it has a lot of depth to it, like a lot of strategic depth. So you like start peeling back those layers and you're like, oh, next time I could do this or that, you know? So what did you think of the game?
I really like the game. And that's what got me, is peeling back the layers. It took me a couple of rounds to get to where I felt like, oh, next time round, I know that I need to play this over here to get what I wanted, to build my pieces, to build my...
Right, to get your engine started and kind of getting what you needed in and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I was teaching the game, did you find it hard to kind of follow as I was teaching it all, or was it pretty simple? Did it seem like pretty easy to kind of pick up?
It was really easy to pick up.
Okay.
I think the thing that kind of got me the most is, and again, you know, coming from somebody that doesn't play a ton of games,
right.
It was when I got to pick up a card off the board.
Yeah, the token that has the specific ability on it to pick up a card. Like, you kept on looking for that token, but it just never was there. You're like, dang it.
Exactly.
Wasn't that one the
it's
token?
Like, oh man, it got negated in the last turn. Oh no. And then I realized, well, I need that over there really bad to be able to make my engine.
Right.
So, you know, it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
I had a lot of fun playing.
Well, other people who are probably non-gamers, would this be a game that you would pick up, kind of being in the middle, like you like playing a couple of games here and there? Would this be a game you would pick up and try to teach them?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this falls along the lines of maybe like, I know Ticket to Ride's very easy to teach non-gamers.
Yes.
So, okay, so this falls along those
It
sort of
does.
lines.
In fact, in a comparison, I would compare it to Ticket to Ride.
Okay.
In those type of terms, because it is very easy to play. It's not one of these long drawn out, it's going to take you 2 hours to play or whatever.
Right.
It's a reasonable amount of time to play.
Did you realize it took us an hour to play that game?
No.
It goes by really fast, right?
It does. and it's funny because you start playing a game and there's times that you just go, oh my gosh, when is this going to end?
Right.
And you know, not in this case.
This was not the case.
No.
Okay.
No, it was kind of like, well, I need more time.
Why is the game over so fast? This is terrible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, excellent. I'm so happy that you enjoyed the game. I was really hoping to show this game to you because I mean, everybody I've shown it to has just really enjoyed it and picked it up really easy, and I feel like it's a good game for many ages, you know, from the GloryBear who we saw, who's age 8, I mean, all the way up, you know. And pretty much anybody can play it, I feel like, you know.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for asking me.
All right. And you too, Wesley. Say hi to the camera. All right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm GloryHoundd, and this is...
DrGloryHogg. I was making faces. Sorry. I was doing this the whole time. Let's start that over.
Be professional.
Well, I was making a face. I didn't expect you just to start going. Jesus.
Wesley, I forgot to lock you up. You're such a bad kitty. You're so bad. Yes, you are. You're gonna make your debut in my supposed to be professional film.